Welcome, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, interest, and of course, dedication to RTI. You know, hardware and software, hardware and those cool gadgets, they always get all the attention and fanfare. But today we're discussing the software, which really makes that experience memorable for your clients and make them so happy that the referral sales will start to stack up more and more and more for you. And that is the beauty and the announcement that we're going to make today with the Integration Designer 11. You know, tons of time and effort behind the scenes have culminated in the release, which is the foundation for the future of RTI and for all of our dealers. We're so pleased to welcome all of our brand new and longtime integration partners from all over the globe here today. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about what is Integration Designer. You know, the new time-saving features, the immaculate client experience that they're going to get out of this. We want to make sure that you have an update of who should update and how, and you know, the different versions, what that means for you from Integration Designer. We're going to provide you with some resources and the ability to continue your learning, and of course, demonstrate, because seeing is believing. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools, you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into, and all that fun stuff. So my name is Tyler Nelson. I am the National Training Manager for RTI, and I'll be hosting the call today alongside with Vincent Bova, who will be showcasing the demonstration. We also have Jib Koenig, who's our National Sales Director, and Angela Madrid as panelists to help answer any questions that you may have. Of course, we will have time for a live Q&A at the end, but if you do have questions during the presentation today, please submit them into the question and answer section, not the chat window, so that we can get those answered for you right away and keep track of them in case we miss any of them. Any specific programming questions that you may have, you know, that are a little bit more in depth, let's make sure to submit those to either in the Q&A area or the dealer experience, and you can send us an email at dealerexperience@rticontrol.com, and we'll make sure to get those answered for you. And of course, we are recording the session to share with those who can't make it today, or if you just want to hear our glorious voices once again. So with that, let's get going. You know, for our partners who are on the phone and are brand new to RTI, let's discuss a little bit about what Integration Designer is and why it's so unique. You know, Integration Designer is an award-winning CDA Hall of Fame product, which is actually software. It's what you dealers use to configure and program the products both on the back end and what the end user sees and operates. You know, and it's come from a long history line of a constant state of evolution. You know, Integration Designer was first introduced in 2007, and with 9 iterations was an incredible first step in that next generation of programming. I mean, it introduced features like drag and drop programming, full customization, direct app navigation without having to do any coding. You know, and then the next evolution of this, taking the knowledge we learned, was Integration Designer 10, otherwise known as Apex, and it ushered in a huge time-saving features such as auto programming for common devices and button and image resizing. Well, today, RTI is proud to introduce Integration Designer 11, the next step in the evolutionary process, and arguably one of the most powerful ones we've put out yet. You know, Integration Designer 11 has some very cool new features. First and foremost is this: we're going to maintain that singular programming platform for all of our devices, no matter how large or small the project may be, from residential to commercial. We're going to include things like a rapid preset programming template along with a full customization capability. So you can use our templates that we create for you, which are absolutely gorgeous, new Corral template, or you can modify our templates that we give you or do full custom demo. It's totally your choice based on the project. We've created an auto generation, an enhanced auto generation of new room and activity menus for you so that you create a faster experience. And our dealers, you know, you crave for that. You know, we want to be able to get those lists faster. We want to get those room selections faster. Well, we've delivered with ID9. In fact, we've even created what's called a system manager to provide feedback for a variety of new scenarios. You know, we're helping our dealers track it all, make their programming lives easier. So you're not having to create, you know, internal based logic. Our system manager does all of that for you. We are also including a new built-in cloud-based driver storage with automatic updates. It means all of the drivers that you're going to currently use are going to be built into the software itself and be automatically updated as long as you're on the network, of course, and make sure that that you have the latest and greatest of all those. So you won't have to download them each and every time we launch a new one. They're going to be automatically populated into your driver window. And of course, we want to make sure that you can offer those really unique, interfaces for those specific devices, like a Roku or a Sonos or an Apple TV. We've taken the lead and helped our dealers with additional source page templates that optimize that user experience. And again, saves you time and money while you're improving that customer's experience. And this is why Integration Designer is going to deliver our fastest custom installation software and programming ever. So the software launch, where are you with Integration Designer? What version are you on? Well, if you're currently using Integration Designer Apex, you need to update today. There's no reason not to. Apex files can be open in ID 11, and you'll be able to transfer those over, no problem, start right off the bat and be good to go. Now, I know a lot of you may still be using Integration Designer 9. That's okay. You know what? You need to download Integration Designer 11 for all of your new projects starting today. Any new project you're working with, start it off with Integration Designer 11. You do want to keep that ID 9 software on your computer, but only to maintain your own projects. Do not create any new projects in ID 9. You want to make sure that you get the latest and greatest of all the features and capabilities that Integration Designer has now and in the future. So make sure you do ID 11 for all of your new projects starting today. And if you're brand new to RTI, we have numerous resources dedicated to get you up and running fast. Speaking of those resources, our brand new Integration Designer page on the website will give you a ton of information, or you can attend some of our live trainings that are coming up. We've got some Integration Designer 10 or Apex to Integration Designer 11, kind of a conversion training, if you will, coming the end of the 26th and 28th of April. And we've got some Integration Designer 9 to Integration Designer 11 trainings coming up for you as well, the first part of May. We're also going to have a number of different online training modules available for you beginning next week. So we're trying to give you as much as we can in regards to Integration Designer 11, but it is overflowing with new updates, features that benefit both the user and the integrator. I could list them all out one by one, bullet point by bullet point until we're all blue in the face, but that's just incredibly boring. So instead, I want to turn it over to our professor of programming, our guru of GUIs, Mr. Vincent Bova, the director of our dealer experience, to show you what you can expect from the new Integration Designer 11. So Vincent, take it away, my friend.
Thank you so much, Tyler. I get pumped every time you do it. I'm going to just transfer my screen over real quick here. Okay. Yeah, just give me a screen check, please, when you get the screen on your. All right, cool. So I want to welcome all of our RTI dealers, old and new, to our newest generation of software, Integration Designer 11, affectionately known as ID 11. We've added some groundbreaking features. They're going to make you scratch your head and wonder if this is really RTI. A stunning template backed by real intelligence in our all-powerful system manager. We've added productivity features, an express lane designed to get you in and out of projects quicker. We also have a little something for those power dealers out there who want to do customization. Whether you're building a residential or commercial project, ID 11 will deliver the ultimate programming experience for our installers and the ultimate user experience for their clients. So let's get started with our presentation. I'm excited. This is one of the best releases of all time. Here I created a little demo file just so that I could highlight some of these great features for you. I'm gonna shut off my distracting camera for this demo here. This file here has some rooms in it and some sources. And we're going to highlight what this is all about. One of the first features I'm going to show you in this demonstration is the new Coral template. Happen to have a KA11 here. This is your new Coral template, and you're going to see a great deal of differences in the way we've programmed this template. It's not just the template, it's something that's super intelligent that basically tracks everything you do. The Coral template creates lists for you automatically. All the framework and buttons here are all programmed to do what they're supposed to do. Even the layers are programmed to give you the right type of experience. So this Coral template is really going to blow you away. So Coral is laid out with all the buttons professionally designed and auto programming to save you time. And it's backed by the powerful system manager, so no more programming on buttons. We'll show you what I mean here. So what I'm going to show you now is basically how the interface works. What you're looking at here on the left side of the screen is list menus. And these menus, if you've chosen to program this way, will show you the room sources and a power option. So you'll even have the ability to power off the system as well, whether it's turning off that room, turning off the lights, turning off the AV and the lights, or the whole house as well. And these buttons are automatically programmed for you. Now you might ask, well, how could you automatically program buttons without knowing what to do? Well, we program something that tells the button what to do and where to go and get it. The system manager is responsible for most of the work. Now we've created these definitions on the page that will give you the ability to select rooms, show the sources, and show the power independently. There's no need to program that. On the front page, you'll see a dashboard for your home screen, and we're going to show you how to make that. So let's add an iPad and show you how it's all done. I'm going to select an iPad from my list of devices here, and I'm going to add it to my system. You're going to be presented with an option here to create list menus, which is the fastest way to program. There's also button menus, which will allow you to program some buttons and customize those with a cost of some time savings. List menus are the way to go if you want to get in and out of a product. So in addition to adding both a list menu or a button menu, you can also add the flavor of your dashboard. We have 3 options now playing. Lights and climate. If you have a system with lights and climate, that's a great dashboard to have. Or in a more commercial flavor, intercom and security, or perfect for a kitchen and a home. So now you get to pick which menu you want. We'll add a list menu now playing, and we'll add all these devices. And we'll just select some, move some out of it, and we'll add that device. So now that project is programmed, that device is programmed for you. Let's take a look at some of these beautiful templates that are already programmed for you. As I move throughout the system, you're going to see that we've programmed everything for you. Here's our Roku template designed specifically for Roku. We also have an Apple TV template specifically designed for the Apple TV people. So now we give you very specific templates. And if you look in our page templates, you're going to see some specific devices we've added. We talked about the Apple TV. So we give you a template dedicated for Apple TV. We even give you a keyboard template for all the controllers in your system that would fit a keyboard. We also give you new pages for lighting that are designed to really work well with Leap system, with the Lutron Leap system. The Roku we spoke about. We have a Sonos template, even a video game in use. And we'll continue to add these templates as we go. Now we've added a list menu in our templates, and let's talk about how these work. If you select a room menu with this button right here, the room menu will show up. If you add rooms, they'll automatically show up in the list. If you add sources and you select the source menu, this list menu will already populate your sources with instructions on where to get the programming from. So incredible features and dashboards now on your homepage. You also have the ability, let's say you don't want one of your controllers controlling all the rooms, so you can go and click on a controller and then click on room list, and you can hide maybe one of these rooms. Maybe a kid will not be able to control your master bedroom or something like that. So you always have the ability to remove some of these rooms from the system. Let's get back to our template. Now we've talked also about this system manager. And now these activity menus you don't need to program them at a button level anymore. Even if you create a button menu screen, and we'll show you how to do that in a second, there's no need to program specific activities on a button. What that translates to is now the system manager is in control of that and is used to keep track of important information such as rooms, activities, sources, and states of those. The system manager uses this data to determine which pages and layers to show, which macros to run, and more. We can use the system manager when setting activities. So what that means is no matter how many controllers you have in a given room, you only have to program the activities once. Where do you program the activities? Well, I'm going to click the family room here and then select the activity events. This is what System Manager calls activity events. And this determines if you're using a list menu, well, if you're not using a list menu, what is programmed for your activities. Now, a list menu will use this function more than most because now you get to determine how these activities appear in your lists. Let's take a look at this and see how it works. So this is showing all the activities in our family room. And if you select enable or disable using a list menu, it will either remove it from the list. So maybe I don't want to show it, or it will add it to the list if you check it off. So you'll go through these and to make sure that things are right. ID11 will do a great job of making sure that these are programmed correctly, but you can still make corrections. For example, if you don't have a smart TV in your family room, I'm going to uncheck that activity. I don't want to appear in my list. What about my Apple TV? It's unchecked. So I'm going to check that and watch it pop up to the active activities. I can also change the order of these activities, and I can see it needs some reordering as far as my style goes. I'm going to move the weather down to the list down on the bottom of the list of shown activities. I'm going to move my home page or dashboard jump to the top. And now this is starting to look better. I don't need a zone 1 audio video activity. That's from my matrix switch. So I could put that out of the list. Now, the next column is really important because System Manager knows how to distinguish audio, video sources, and other type of sources that are not audio or video. You get to change the source type. So there's 3 different source types. There's other, there's audio, and video. Other would be something like lighting, climate, maybe a settings page, anything that's not an audio or video device. Audio would be, that's pretty self-explanatory, an audio device such as a music streamer or something like that, that's independent of any video control. And video would be a device that requires a display of some sort. So we're going to make sure our activities here are classified the proper way. ID11, again, does a really good job of doing this, so you'll rarely have to make any changes. But if you do, make the change. It's really important. The next 2 columns show you how to find where that activity is located. So my home page is in the global area. My Blu-rays in the global area. They all are most of these are in the global area because we're using a matrix switch and audio distribution in our project. The last column is really interesting. If you're using a list menu, which I highly recommend, that's going to get you in and out of projects a lot quicker. This allows you to customize how the activity appears in the list. So I can call my Blu-ray something a little easier on the eyes, like Watch Blu-ray. Cable TV can be Watch Cable. Roku, Watch Roku. And RTI Music Player 1 can be Watch Player 1 or something like that. And we also have Apple TV down here, and we'll call that Watch Apple TV. And at the same time, we'll move this up above the audio, so the audio appears after the video. Now that your list is programmed, this is where you program your activity macros, which are called events. So The beauty of this is that this is where you program the activities, whether you have 2 controllers or 20 controllers in the family room, you only program in one place. If you program using the system manager convention, which is the right way to program, you're going to be able to track what's in use. You're going to be able to know what rooms are on, if video in that room is on or off, if audio is on or off in that room, whether a source is on and off, even if it doesn't have discrete power, no flags needed. You're also going to be able to do things when you select another source, and those are called deselection events. So we'll talk about all of these in detail. The good news is the learning curve is exponentially quicker, because when you select one of these, you're going to see specific directions on the bottom in yellow highlight telling you exactly what it's looking for and how it works. So I'm going to select the Blu-ray here and start programming some of these. So these are called selection events. That's the first batch of events we're going to run. What happens when you select the Watch Blu-ray activity from the menu? What's going to happen? So the first thing it does is activity start. And if you read this section here, it says this macro is run whenever any activity is selected, but before any changes are made. You can use this to send the controller to a please wait page. And it's common for all activities in this room. So only have to program it once for all these activities. So if you got a please wait page, which I happen to have, I'm just going to page link to my please wait page. If you don't have a please wait page, leave it empty. The next one is room on, and this one's an interesting one. It's run when any audio or video source is selected and the room is currently off. So obviously, if you're coming to a new session and you walk into your family room and the room is off and you select Watch Blu-ray, this macro is going to run. Now, here's the deal. This will only be populated with audio and video shared devices. They have to have something in common, meaning if your receiver is tied to your audio distribution amplifier and it always has to turn on whether you select an audio or a video activity, you run your room on here with your receiver. So we happen to have a receiver in this room that share the audio and video task. So let's add a command, and now let's select our receiver and we'll power that baby on. Now, if your receiver is only used for audio or video and not both, you won't program this. You'll leave this empty. Okay, this is only for rooms that have a shared device, and the audio and video share it. Now, if you only have audio in the room or only have video in the room, you could populate this with whatever has to turn on in the room for whatever activity you select. The next one is called video on, and it says right here, this macro is run when a video source is selected and the room is not currently on a video source. Okay, so if I'm listening to audio, or if I'm turned off, the system's turned off, this will run when I select this macro Watch Blu-ray. So it says exactly what you're looking for here. You can use this to turn on any video specific equipment like a display or projector. So we're going to use this to turn on our TV in the room. So we'll bring in, I bring in a time delay. We'll bring in a command here and we'll select the Samsung TV, the power on statement. Now, if you have a receiver in the room, but it's not used for audio, you would turn that on here as well. This is asking, well, what do you need to turn on that hasn't been turned on already for video sources? Since we have the receiver covered in the room on, we're good. The next button, the next event, I should say, is the power on source. And it says right here, this macro runs when the first room in the system begins using the source. That's right. The software has an internal tracking mechanism. It knows when this is in use somewhere and it's already been turned on, thanks to the power of the system manager. You can use this to power on the source. So the source is the Blu-ray. This is the watch Blu-ray activity. So let's bring in a command here and make sure our Blu-ray's on. So I'll select the Blu-ray here from the list, and I'm going to head down to the P commands and turn on my Blu-ray here. So now we turn on our Blu-ray. So now we're doing good. Well, let's recap what we did so far. We jumped to a please wait page. We turned on our receiver, which is shared with audio and video devices in this room. We then turned on our video display, our TV. Then we powered on the source device. Now it's time for activity selected. Real simple. This is used for signal management, for routing your signal. And it says here, the macros run to configure the equipment in the room to use the source. Before this macro is run, all the on macros have already been run. The room on, the video on, the power on source. So here's what we do, switching. If you have a matrix switch or a TV and a receiver, you want to switch all of those. So I happen to have all of those here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my matrix switch. I'm going to go to my output, my switch video audio outputs and inputs, and I'm going to select family room, Blu-ray. So I routed my signal on the matrix. Now I'm going to go route my receiver to the right input. Select my receiver, select the source that I'm going to set to. And this would be the family run HDMI 1. That's fine. We'll use HDMI 1. And I'm going to bring in another command here. And I'm going to use this for my, you guessed it, your television. So my Samsung TV needs to switch inputs. And we'll select that input source. And we'll select the TV that we're using and the input. And the beauty is that the receiver can stay on HDMI 1, the TV can stay on HDMI 1 since we're using a video matrix. So now activity is ready. That means we're ready to now jump to our Blu-ray page. That's already programmed for us, no work required. As long as your source is enabled, this will automatically populate. Now that we've programmed all the activities we need, if this was in the list, and we pressed it, it would launch this activity. So whether we have, again, 5 remotes in this system or 15 remotes in this system, they're going to use this activity. We only have to program it once. And the best part is when we add a new device to the system and we use a list menu, we don't have to do a thing, okay? Now, because there's also things you can do when the device is deselected, let's look into the deselection events. These are really important because they allow you to specify what happens when you, A, turn off the room or move off the activity. So let's look at the first one, room off start. And it tells you this macro is the beginning whenever the room off command is run in a room. If you forgot where room off is, let me remind you. Here it is on our home screen on our power menu. So here's where your room off is. If you turn off the AV, your room, the current room will turn off. It knows what room is the current every time. And guess what? If you turn off the AV and for the whole house, it will turn off any room that it knows is on. So System Manager tracks what is on and it knows what is on. So this is basically saying, what do you want to do at the start of your power off routine? Again, it's meant for a please wait page. And you only have to do it once for all the activities in the room. So let's add our please wait page here. Now we have a please wait page for our activities, and we now have a please wait page for our power off routine. Activity deselected. This macro is run after another source is selected or you turn off the system. How many of you watch Blu-rays and want to get a quick score on your cable box? Or maybe you want to sneak a look at the lighting or weather. This is meant for what happens when you're watching a Blu-ray and now you either turn off the system or you select another source. I like to kind of pause my Blu-ray because when I'm watching a movie, I don't want to miss my place just to go get a score on the hockey game. So I'm going to go and put a command in here, and I'm going to set my Blu-ray to pause. And every time you move off your Blu-ray, whether it's to select a different source or it's to turn the system off, it'll pause it. Then it'll power off the source. That's going to be the opposite of power on. Here's a quick power tip. If you go to the power on source and you copy this, you could paste this into the power off source and change the command. We'll make this power off. And that'll happen when the device needs to power off. Video off, and it tells you this macro is run when a video source is no longer in use, either because an audio source was selected or because the room is turned off. So what that means is if I'm watching my Blu-ray and I switch to listen to music or I turn off the system, video off has to run. It's usually the opposite of the video on. So if I turn on my TV when the video turns on, I got to turn it off when it turns the video off. So we'll paste that in here and we'll change the argument. Power off, okay? Room off, that's where we turn the receiver off. This macro is run when the room is turned off, whether it's audio or video, because we're sharing the receiver here. So I'm going to go to my room on, I'm going to copy this guy, and I'm going to paste it to the room off, and we're happy. And we'll change that to off. So room off complete. This says, what do you want me to do after when the person that's using the interface selects the power off? What do you want me to do after I'm finished turning everything off? Fortunately, these are programmed for you. And if it's a global controller, it will jump to its respective homepage. And if it's a local controller, it will jump to its own respective homepage. And then a quick command here, which will make sure that it's displaying its activities for the last room it's selected. So when the client picks it up, it's ready for another session. So you could change these if you want. An example of that is if you wanted to jump to a splash page or something like that. Now that's how you program these events here. Now you're going to notice that other sources have less things to program, because if you jump to your home page, what do you really need to do? But we still give you the ability to do signal routing if you need to. A good example of that would be if you wanted to do something like route signal when you jump to your home screen. Maybe you want to take it back to another source or something. And activity ready, which is always the page jumps to that source or activity. So it'll automatically jump to the home page, whether it's a global or individual room controller. And we also give you a deselected if you ever need a deselect. So when you come off the home page to another source, this will run. I'd leave it blank if you can't think of anything. So this is part of what the system manager does. It's a single place to program those activities, so you only have to do it once. Now, you add rooms to your system, they automatically appear here, and they automatically get programmed with the right function. And if you add a source to the system, automatically shows up in this source list, and it runs whatever macros you created on your activity system manager events list. Okay. Now, there's also room events, which are basically asking, what should I do if you select the family room? And you could set an event here. It's automatically programmed to automatically jump to the home page and then show the activities. But you can add on to this if you want. Maybe you want to adjust the lighting or something. So room selected are just events that you can run when a room is selected. How is that for power? So now the software tracks what's going on. It knows exactly what to do. It won't run any redundant macros, which can be really annoying to a client. Imagine having a hit watch Blu-ray and then it goes through this macro routine and everything else. And then jump to a home page or a weather page or a lighting page. And then you jump back and it runs all these macros again without knowing what's going on. Now it knows what's going on. It only runs what it needs to run, depending on how you program it. So that's how you program the activities for the system manager. Let's take a quick look at how the button menus work. So just like we added an iPad for a button menu, for a list menu, I'm going to add an iPad with a button menu. Now, these are going to cost you more time in programming. I recommend using the list menu because that's an express mode. If you want to go the button menu mode, that's more than fine. Select button menus now playing dashboard and add the device. Let's show you the difference. So now, instead of creating a list menu that's automatically programmed, let me rotate this for you. It creates, and let me hide some of these overlapping layers here. It gives you buttons here that you can, let me just unlock these. It'll give you buttons that you can program yourself. Now, all you have to do to program these is change the icon. For example, we have a family room, and I know there's one already programmed in the list here, but if there wasn't, I'm going to go to the Coral template assets, select some icons here, and I'm going to look for a family room. I'll just type in family. So instead of using the same family room icon here, I can use this one here. Looks like a family sitting around a table. And then I'm just going to go here and select family room. Now let me show you something really cool. Even though you're programming button menus, doesn't mean you have to go and program macros on them. All you do is drag your tag over, your room selection tag for the family room, over to this button, and it will select the room and automatically run that room selection event, which will now pop up your sources. Okay, so you just drag the tag over and fix the icon in the text, and you're done. Now with sources, it's really the same story. So for example, we'll just take one source here, like the Apple TV. And I'm going to go to my tags here, and I'm going to just drag my Apple TV. I know I have one up here. I'm going to drag my Apple TV to this, okay? It will automatically program this for us. We don't have to do another thing. Let me show you what it programs automatically. It programs this function here called Select Activity, Current Room, Global Apple TV. It knows what room you're in because you just selected it. You could hard code it if you want, but this knows what the current room is. And it will run the global macro for the Apple TV. It'll also run the macro that was in the family room under activities for the Apple TV. So it will fire this selection events here for the Apple television and run through them. Okay, so more time consuming, not as automatic. The beauty of list menus is that even if I added now 3 controllers, I'm going to have a fully programmed user interface for all my devices. If you use button menus, you still have a little work to do with customization. So hopefully that's clear, the time savings we offer with using the list menus. Again, we want to make you guys efficient, and I think we've done it with these list menus. They're pretty incredible. Okay, let's take a look at some other stuff. How about an integrated driver store? Let's take a look. I'm going to go to my drivers now in my driver tab, and now my drivers are part of my software. Yes, no need to download drivers from a website, place them in a directory, and the next time you use them, whether it's a week or a month later, hope that they're not out of date. Now you have an integrated driver store, which is always the latest and greatest. It'll also warn you if there's any drivers in your current system here that are out of date. so you can quickly update them using the driver store. These are all RTI supported drivers. Someone asked in the last webinar if third-party drivers would be here. Yes, that'll be something that we're working on and it's coming soon. For now, you can change the system to user and use any of your own drivers that you'd like. So these are all like third-party drivers, utility drivers that are not RTI certified. Okay, so integrated drivers. Let me go back to those drivers and show you some more advantages. So when you select a driver, you'll see some information about the driver. You can go and access the driver notes without even entering them into the driver, into the project file. You could also jump to the driver store that we have designed for the software only. So this will allow you to go to the driver store. You could also download stuff if you want. I don't know why that would work, but you can do that. So that's the integrated driver store, one of my favorite features in ID 11 and a huge time saver, and also great for efficiency as well. Now, when you add a new project to your system, you're going to find that we've done some work for you, because that's what we're all about, making your life easier. We'll add a weather driver automatically to the software. So you'll find your weather driver automatically added to the software with a user interface in your global area, so that if you ever add another controller, it'll add another weather page. So beautiful page, all set up for you, ready to run. You also get the weather included on your dashboard. Now, you might notice that the now playing layer is not programmed properly. Let me show you what you need to do to get this programmed. The reason why we don't program this for you is because we want to give you flexibility at what it's aimed at. You could program this at music. You could program this to show what's on television if you have the right driver. So I'm going to go to my now playing layer, and all I have to do is go into my layer properties, and all I have to do is select RTI music. That's all I got to do. Click OK, and now that layer is aimed at our RTI music system. So that's all you need to do with that home dashboard. And as I was getting back to my point, you'll also have the weather here that's completely programmed, because we include a weather driver in every single situation. Here's another real cool feature. As I move on to showing you some button layouts, template layouts, if you add a driver, I'm going to go to my driver store and I'll add something that's not ID 11 certified or optimized. So I'm going to go and we'll call it optimized. I'm going to go and look up here, and I'm going to look for the Lutron Cassetta system. Now, this will work with any driver that doesn't have a the optimized for tags and all that other stuff. If I try to add this to my system now and select next, it will actually ask me what type of template to use for this device. Now, I know the answer is obvious in this case, but some devices like XP Diagnostics, things that we don't create a user interface for you, you get to control what kind of interface you want to start off with. Well, really cool feature, okay? So in this case, obviously, we'll select lighting and we'll add this device. That's it. Okay, so mapping page layouts for non-optimized driver. Let me show you a real time saver we've added to the system. So if you go to File, System Properties, this is where you define the properties of the system. We've added a way of allowing you to program some of these properties and passing them on to the rest of the project. So for example, location. You'll program your location and you'll program this once. So I'm close to Orlando, Florida, and my clock time zone is Eastern time. Now, wouldn't it be a drag if I had to do this for all my controllers? 802.11, my network is my network. And I'll put some authentication in here, and my encryption is right. And I'll add some key here. So now I've added my network to the overall system properties. In the past now, you had to go to all your controllers. For example, I have a T4X in the family room. I'd have to go into my properties now and do it again for my clock and my other settings here. You can see that if this is checked off, it will use the properties you've done in the system, the overall system properties. And if you look at the 802.11, yes, it has my network also. So brilliant feature. No need to go and enter all of these things in over and over again. All right, let's show you another cool feature. And this one is a good one. I'll use the K11 in this case. If you go look throughout this template, I have a really nice background, but I want to change it to that familiar purple that we all have grown to love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head down to my bitmaps and I'm going to select my coral backgrounds. That's another set we give you. Now, if I select coral backgrounds and of course clear out search boxes, notice that it's only showing me backgrounds for this device. We've added a filter here that will filter out images designed for different screen sizes. So you won't have to look, if I uncheck this, you won't have to look at iPhone and other resolutions. By clicking the filter, it'll give you a list of all the backgrounds that are meant to be used for this remote control. Now, if you want to add a background to your system and change it across the board, that means on every single page here, go to your page properties first. Notice that this system is using, this page, I should say, is using a default background. So that means that the default background for this project is what you see here. Okay, so knowing that that's set like that, let's drag in that purple background here. And now as we walk through the rest of this template, we'll see that that change has been automatically made for us. Now, if you wanted to change maybe your please wait page to have a different color, just to give you a little contrast, I can go back to my page properties and make this a custom background. Okay, once you make it a custom background, it's now ready for a custom background. So I'm going to go back to my familiar blue background here, and I'll change that for my please wait. And it won't change it for any other devices. Okay, so now you have a quick and easy way of changing the backgrounds and filtering out what you need for your controller. Again, another time-saving feature. Okay, let's take a look at another feature I love, the additional fonts and font sizes. We've added a bunch of additional fonts like Montrasat and some other fonts like Roboto and some other ones. We've added lots of different fonts on all of our controllers across the board and additional font sizes as well. That's going to allow you to change your look and give it a little bit of a different design or edge. So that's going to be an enjoyable feature because now you have a good amount of fonts to select from. So how about custom sliders? Let's take a look at our lighting page that we've added. Now you have the ability on most of your remotes and your RTI panel devices, the ability to customize your sliders. Not only can you create your own sliders, but we give you a library of sliders that you can actually use to resize and reformat to any size you want. You can also grab the frame handles in the middle here and you can make them go vertically. So now you can create a vertical and horizontal slider. If you go to the template here and look at your elements and type in slider or gauges, because we do gauges also, you can bring in a slider here and change these up pretty quickly, or you can bring it in and customize the size of it. So again, any size you want, and we give you a good amount of sliders in two different sizes, like small and large for the larger remotes, so that you don't have to worry about trying to grab something really tiny. Custom sliders and gauges is something everyone's been looking for a really long time. And now you have the ability to bring in a gauge or a slider and go and make this as big as you want. Or if you want to make this horizontal or vertical, it's possible. Okay, so that's the custom sliders. Now we're going to take a look at some of the more powerful features of the system manager and what you can do. Now, the reward for doing those activities in the family room, and I should say, when we programmed the Blu-ray, I didn't show you this, and I probably should have, but a lot of these activities that we programmed for the Blu-ray carry over to the next device. For example, activity start, already been programmed on my Blu-ray player. Room on, I already know what to do when I turn on the family room. Video on, already know what to do. Power on source, you'll need to program that for the cable. And you could use a power toggle to do that if you like, because it will only send the command when it needs to turn on the cable. It knows when it's on, when it's off, even if someone turned it on in another room. Activity selected is where you do the routing. You'll have to do that. Ready will jump to the page, already done. Room off start, already done. Activity deselected. Well, what do you want to do when you move off of cable, whether it's another source or you turn the system off? Nothing. Power off the source, video off, it knows what to do. Room off, it knows what to do. And it knows what to do when the room off sequence is complete. So you could program these really quickly. In our regular training course, we'll show you how to do this in a quicker, even quicker way once you're comfortable with the concept. Okay, now we're going to look at the system manager, some of the variables that you can find with System Manager. Now, we've talked about the fact that we've added an integrated weather driver. We've also taken the clock variables that were in the clock driver and we put them in the System Manager. Here's System Manager in the area where drivers are kept. You can see that you have the time and the date that you could add to any system automatically. No clock driver needed, so no need to go and add a weather or clock driver. We have that covered for you. Now, the System Manager can track lots of things. So we'll just look at the family room type of devices, the family room type of variables. So the family room name, if the source return is visible. What does that mean? That means that if you jump from a audio or video source to an other type of source, the source return is visible. So you could build, please, back buttons, which are already built for you actually, and you can only show them, make them only show up or whatever you want to do when you're in a situation where you jumped from a audio video activity to an other type of activity, like a home page or lighting. We also give you the ability to family room source return location. That tells you what your current source is, so that where you're coming from, like what's your current source selected. So great variable there. We also give you the ability to know if that source list is visible, if the room list is visible, or if even if the power off is visible. You get to determine if the family room is on or off, if the family room audio devices are on or off, if the family room video situation is happening or not, or off. What's the family room state? That's a really good one. And you have all name selections as well. Now you also get to choose if a specific activity is selected. So if you're on your home page, the home page is selected. If you're on your Blu-ray, the Blu-ray is selected. But we also track what's in use as well. So if you're watching Blu-ray, your Blu-ray is in use. If you jump to your home page, your Blu-ray is in use. If you jump from there to your lighting page, your Blu-ray is still in use. So you can track what sources are in use great for video matrix systems or audio distribution systems to make sure you don't clobber your client when you, well, clobber your family members, I apologize, when they're watching activities. So you get all those selection events. Another thing you get is the selected room. Now, for those of you that are using, that have used Apex, you're going to upgrade your Apex systems to ID11. Don't worry about it because you'll be able to program Apex in ID11 with your existing knowledge set. We're going to announce some training dates really soon, and you'll be a master in ID11 in no time. In the meantime, program your Apex systems in ID11. So selected room takes the place of room proxy in Apex, which simply selects what room you're in and dynamically changes macros to point to that room. Things like volume and things like that are perfect examples. So I select family room, my volume buttons now turn to the family room for volume. I select kitchen, now my volume, the same button points to the kitchen volume. So you also have source name. So we'll give you the ability to populate the names of all these sources on the interface. So instead of actually going in and hard coding, your names of your sources, you could use these variables. And then if you make a change to one, it'll fix it everywhere. So you don't have to go around and change Blu-ray to Jim's Blu-ray and have to do it in a million places. This will allow you to use a variable, so you only have to do it in one place. And we give it to you for every source. Layer visibility. So we have a system that allows you to select one of these room sources and power, and you select one, that menu shows up, and whether it's a list menu or button menu, and then the others go away. So you have the ability of determining if any of those lists are visible. And of course, we went over the time and the date. And if you look at your layer here, if you look at the layers here, because variables are different from one place to the next, you could see that there's in-use variables, which tell you if a source is in use or not. Now, you might notice it on some source devices that are usually marked other. That's just in case you make it a video or audio source for some reason or other. So some incredible features in the software. I am looking forward to working with you and helping you get your systems up to date. We have a great training manager now who is in the middle of designing some awesome ID11 courses for you. Let's talk a little bit about where you are now and where you need to be. If you're an ID9 dealer, I highly recommend you upgrade to ID11. You can run ID9 and ID11 at the same time or on the same machine, but now is the time to start looking at our new ID11 software. It's going to make you incredibly richer because you're going to be able to get in and out of systems much more quickly, program way more efficiently, have more power at your fingertips, and give the client a beautiful, stunning template in the meantime. If you're an Apex dealer, you learned Apex, a lot of these principles are going to apply. You're going to immediately upgrade to ID11, and you're going to continue programming with your current knowledge set. When you open an Apex file in ID11, you can expect to see a few differences, even with your old template. For example, your room selection, where they used to point to room proxy, are now going to point to system manager. There might be some other subtle changes as well, but you can continue on that path. So again, the continuation of Integration Designer 10 is Integration Designer 11. This is 11.0, and we're ready to start a new generation of RTI. Last thing, we also want to talk a little bit about what you're going to do with your Apex files. Again, you're going to update to the ID11, and that should be all you need to do. Training will happen pretty soon. We spoke about that. and we'll take some questions if we have anything. I'm happy to demo anything, explain anything, and show you, some other things in the software. Also, by the way, there's some new macro steps. So, room off on a button now will turn off that room. Source return will return to the last source you were on if you jump from a source to another type of device. Show menu will display one of those power rooms and source options. And select activity. That's a big one. Put that on a button and it will use System Manager to run the activity. Oh, I know what I forgot. If you're programming a custom template, like let's say you're not using a Coral offering, you're not, you want to use your own template. Well, do not create Coral pages, and you can import the template. You can import it and use some of the principles we teach you in the training class to update it. If you're doing a commercial project and you want to import a floor plan, great. And the System Manager will work even better in those situations. So we'll take some questions. Hopefully we have some to discuss. And if you want to stay and continue watching, we'll be happy to answer any questions, or you can go if you'd like, if you're not into the question panel. So thanks so much for attending. I greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you at training. Thank you very much.
All right, Vincent, a couple questions popping up there. Mr. Quisenberry wants to know if there's anything that isn't ready yet in this release that like Apex didn't have a global controller. Anything you know of not included in the software?
There is nothing in this software that is pivotal to the operation of the software that is missing. That's a good question. Even though we will be adding additional features, none of them are going to be, they're all going to be icing on the cake, not essential. It's a good question.
Ken Gary just asked about training in Shakopee. We're bringing headquarters training back. So stay tuned for that. We're still a couple months out on that, but we will be bringing on-site training back. There's a couple of questions. Demo one, briefly show the best way to manage a home screen on a T2X, for example.
Oh yeah, good question. Let me give you a little glimpse of a T2X here, because I happen to have one in my master bedroom. So a T2X is going to have if you do a list menu, which I'm a big fan of, the list menu will show the activities in your master bedroom for your T2X. So you can use the scroll options to scroll up and down the list and select the activities. And based on what you programmed in the System Manager under activity events, you'll be able to get your activity the right way. So good question. Same goes for the T4X. So we have a nice homepage, list page we create here, and you can use your gesture control to go up and down the list, fire your activity. And again, the beauty of this software is that you don't have to program on a button by button or by controller. Everything is programmed using System Manager, and then everything, everything is done for you automatically and professionally. So it's pretty amazing.
Is there a template for whole home audio showing multiple areas with volume control?
Great question. So we have a audio and video demo that we're going to hopefully load on the website in the next, hopefully in the next day, which will give you kind of like an example file of a pretty large system, with audio and video elements, and we'll show you. But everything's done the same way. If you're coming from Integration Designer Apex, you can build layers the same way. You can you can add pages that show volume levels and things like that. So, it's going to be very familiar, even though everything is done for you. And we're going to be building page sets in our next release for volume in all the rooms. So look forward to that.
There's some questions about this one. Does the activity ready event run after completion of all other macros? So each event only runs after the previous event has fully completed.
Good question. So if we take one of these activities here, like cable, these are going to run from top to bottom. They're going to start here and run here, okay, when you select an activity. When you deselect an activity, whether it's I'm powering off the system or I'm watching cable, now I'm going to power off the system, or I'm going to go and select an audio device or something. It'll run the or a video device. It'll run the deselection commands, okay? And it will do what it has to do. It knows exactly what it needs to do based on what you do next, okay? It's not going to turn off the room if you select an audio activity, but it could do deselection events. So the system manager is smart enough to figure out what it needs to do and what it doesn't need to do. Activity start is a please wait page. Activity ready is a please wait page. They run in order. Okay, the activity starts, the room turns on, the video devices turn on, the source turns on, and the switching happens, and the activity is ready to jump. Okay.
Is it possible to choose which page a viewport starts on?
So that's a feature that we haven't added yet, or I'm not even sure if it's on the way, but I know that I've heard that request before, so we'll keep pushing for it. But that's not something we have yet. I would try to keep these confined to, instead of feature requests, just more about our Integration Designer 11, because we have a lot to cover. We could always talk about all that stuff through the forums if you want.
Okay. Will a power off list show a power all off if more than one zone is powered on?
Good question. So that's a great question. So here we are in my KA11, okay? And I'm selecting my activities, whether it's audio or video. And now it's time to turn off the system. I hit this power button. It shades a reverse state, which is nice. And now my power menu shows up. Now you could tailor this to do whatever you want. Like, for example, if you don't have lights, you can remove this stuff. But now this turn off AV now in the room will send a command that says, hey, room off current room. Now, if that room was never turned on to begin with, it's not going to do anything. You know what I mean? Like if an activity wasn't run in that room, this won't even do anything. It'll just, it might jump to its room ready off page, like the home page or whatever, but this knows what to run. Now, the beauty of the turn off whole house and the room off, all rooms off, it will turn off whatever rooms are on. So if you only turned on the family room with this, with your iPad or iPhone, this will turn off the family room. If you only turned on the family room and the master bedroom, this command here will turn off those two rooms and not run the macros for the other rooms. That's the internal tracking of System Manager. It's quite incredible, and it pretty much is programmed the way some of the other leading control systems are programmed. Not that we want to be like them, but it's pretty brilliant that we have the ability to track what's happening now and do some incredibly powerful programming.
Are there any graphics on the T4X or T2X list or just text?
So when you add a T4X to a system, and I'll just pretend I'm adding it to my kitchen, and I'm going to select the T4X from the list here. Where is that guy? When your eyes get bad, you actually have to search for these controllers. So I'm going to go and add my kitchen, click next. So because it's a smaller remote, you're not going to get the dashboard. You're not going to get the big dashboard, but you'll get the list and button menus option. And if you select button menus and you add this device, this will create, because we already showed you list menus, this will create a, where is this guy? Where did I add it again? Here? No. Here it is. It's hiding on me. This will create a button menu system for you. So it'll create a audio, video, climate lighting, or a video only, or audio only. So you can program this the way you want. the idea of the button menus is that it's a custom way to go, not the express lane. Okay. The express lane is the list menus. That's going to get you in and out quick. And while you might want to have the urge to do it this way, it depends. If you have the time, fine. But if you want to get in and out of projects quick, the list menu is the way to go, in my opinion.
All right. In the macro page links, can you select a secondary page for sources with more than one page?
In the macro source links, so I'm going to pretend I'm going to go
Page
here.
links, yeah.
Can you select 2 pages here? Is that the question? Maybe.
Select a second page for sources with more than one page.
Oh, so you mean like on the list menus, was it? I'm sorry, Jim, how did he word that in the beginning?
In the macro page links, can you select a secondary page for sources with more than one page?
Yeah, I think we need to get a good idea
detail.
of that, because these will actually scroll for you so endlessly until you run out of sources. So will list menus will. Button menus, you'll have to create additional pages if you have more than what's on the screen. But yeah, I mean, I hope that answered it, but maybe we need a better,
There's a couple more comments coming in about maybe he's referring to frames or jump to a specific page in a page set.
Yeah,
Not frames, he's saying.
Yeah, jump to a specific pages in a page set. Yep.
In Apex, on a global control page link, you cannot select secondary pages, example, lighting.
That is incorrect. You can easily select lighting pages. I'm not sure what that means exactly. But yeah, I mean, you can easily select lighting. I mean, even if you have a custom template here and you go to your lighting here, this is going to run the Lutron activity here. So it'll run the whatever room you're in. If you're in the family room, it's going to run the Lutron activity here. And it's going to, when it's ready, it's going to jump to its respective page.
Yeah, he says he's going to post it up on the forums later for us to address. That's cool.
Yeah. Or you
We'll
could
get him
email
on that
me.
one.
Emailing me might be a better idea.
And then one last one here. Look up. I'm just got to answer. That's the end of the long list of questions there, Vincent. I think you knocked them all out, brother.
Yeah, well, good. I hope I did. And of course, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to send us an email, dealerexperience@rticorp.com, and or training at rticorp.com. And Tyler and I are happy to answer anything you throw at us. But I really hope you guys get going with ID11. It's a great piece of software. Again, if you're using Apex, now is the time to upgrade. Apex is no longer a valid current version of software. So this is the most current version of software, and you can use this for your Apex projects if you're in the middle of one, or if you want to open an old project and do maintenance or whatever. But if you add a new project, Coral's the way to go. And yeah. We also have 2 templates in the Coral. We also have the older template from Apex, but you're going to want to use Coral in almost every situation for a custom template.
Get a couple more pop up here. Source proxy in, it says Apex 11. So ID 11. Is there a source proxy in ID 11?
Well, in a way there is, because it always knows what source is selected or in use, or and so on, but not as natural as room proxy, but it depends what you're trying to use it for. If you mean a way to program, 20 cable boxes on one page, no, there's no way to do that now. But if you mean a way to track what's in use in any room or any given time, or what's selected and what's the current source selected in a room and showing variables and text variables? Yes. So whatever I would more or less, instead of saying source proxy, tell me what you need specifically.
Two last questions popped up here. Is there a way to do more than one if then macro? For example, if the family room TV is off and the Xbox is on, switch the bedroom TV on.
You mean like within the events?
That looks like a nested type event.
You could do that. I mean, you could add stuff to the events. I mean, I wouldn't go and add stuff like if TV is on and do nothing, otherwise turn it on. But if you're going to do some special stuff like that, it's fine. I mean, you could also program the old style, like the way Apex programs as well. If System Manager doesn't fit your, your MO. But again, I wouldn't recommend that. I would follow keep it simple. Please keep it simple. That's the way to go, in my opinion. See too many complex stuff.
One last question I guess we'll take. None of the list pages on the handheld controllers were populated with anything. What do their lists look like?
None of the list. Oh, so I guess you're saying that we don't have any preview text, so to speak. So like if you look at the home list here on your it's programmed. It's just there's no. I have to. There's definitely. It's not a bug. It's probably just something they left out. But this will show and allow you to select your activities. I guarantee you. There's just no preview text, which I guess is kind of annoying. We'll probably get that addressed and fixed. I find that kind of limiting myself in a lot of ways. But I think I think it'll work fine. I have the T4X and it looks really good.
There you go. Excellent. Looks like will it look like the list in the KA11?
Yeah, it will. Will it look like this? Like, will it look like a list of activities like this? Yeah, it will. I mean, it's a smaller remote, obviously, but look, the list menus are going to be a really fast way. If I sat, like, I'll do this in the regular training class, but if I sat here and programmed the system from A to Z, you will be amazed at how quick it programs, because look at the template. Everything is done for you. Even the room name is going to show up, the right room name. We've created special tags and underlying commands here so that all this stuff fills in. This button's already programmed to show the menu. These menus are already programmed to not only show what they need to show, but execute activities. So there is an incredibly quick advantage here. And ID guys have always asked throughout time, we need a quicker way to program. This is definitely it. So if you're looking for a really quick way to program, list menus are the way to go. If you're looking for a quick way to program, but with a little bit of time involved, well, button menus can work too, but there's still a good feature in the software and valid.
Yep.
Okay.
Last question. Will we be able to eventually create custom lists like favorite activities that the end user could set? That's a good question.
Yeah, I love that idea. I mean,
Yeah.
keep those suggestions rolling, whether it's on the RTI forum or any forum for that matter. I mean, we always bounce those ideas to our engineers, and if it's something that rings a bell with them, they'll do it. I mean, we could add our own little requests, just a matter of priority. So keep them coming. And I'm watching a conversation. I'll just say, Dustin, you have to do ID 11.
Right?
He knows.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He's ready to roll. He's going to do it. So yeah. So I think we're wrapping it. Again, my phone and my email is always open to anyone who wants to talk about this. And it's been a great webinar, and I want to thank you guys for sharing your time with us. And on behalf of Jim and Angel and Tyler, it's really been great. So we'll see you at the training or additional webinars. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.